Picture this. It's a typical theme park visit in one of America's largest theme parks, Six Flags Magic Mountain. You're riding the ride, seizing the day until something starts to feel off. The ground starts to tremble, trees start to sway, suddenly sirens go off and you hear the words, "Drop, cover, and hold on." You are now caught in one of the most destructive forces of nature, an earthquake, in the last place you want to be. This is what if an earthquake hits Six Flags Magic Mountain. Earthquakes are truly an unpredictable and uncontrollable force of nature. On average, studies show that every year, California experiences 10,000 earthquakes, and while most are minor, several hundred can be strong enough to be felt or cause damage. Buildings throughout California must be up to code to withstand these violent acts of nature, and it makes you wonder, how does a theme park like Magic Mountain do it? Now for the record, before I see the comment section warriors, I don't want this to happen at all. I mean, on the side, natural disasters was kind of like a little fixation. Tornadoes, tsunamis, and of course, earthquakes. I know I'm not the only one who watched 2012. In fact, this is the second video on my channel where I connected a natural disaster with a theme park I love. And the reason why? I'm just curious. When I was little, I was convinced that at any moment this park could break apart like Lego pieces. And to that I say, I watched way too many disaster movies. But why not answer the biggest question that's crossing your mind and probably the whole reason you chose to click on this? If an earthquake did hit Magic Mountain, what are the chances of it actually happening? What will be its effects on the park? And what would you do if you're at the park in this situation? So let's get started. Contrary to the popular stereotype, while earthquakes happen almost daily in California, most land the category as a small shake or a little tremble. Tectonic plates, the main cause of earthquakes, constantly shift and they don't always have to be some world-shattering event. However, the chances of a major earthquake hitting Magic Mountain isn't exactly slim, and the main reason is this. Some of y'all living in California may know this, but for those who don't like me, this is the San Andreas Fault Line. Essentially, it's a border between two of Earth's major tectonic plates, the Pacific Plate and the North American Plate. From time to time, these plates slide horizontally, and sometimes when the plates get stuck or pressures build, they slip. This movement causes an earthquake, so due to the fact that this fault line makes these slides on a daily basis, it's very long, very deep, and can build up tons of stress. It's one of the world's most dangerous fault lines. It has the potential to create quakes on a scale of a 7 or higher, and for those unfamiliar with the Richter scale, that's very bad. Prime examples of how bad it can get is 1906 when San Francisco experienced a 7.9 quake, damaging lots of the city and leveled tons of building and property. Now for the case of Magic Mountain, the park is located in Santa Clarita, and while thankfully it's not on the fault line, it's only 10 to 15 miles away from it. And the risk is even higher as there's even more fault lines near it. Yup, San Andreas isn't the only one. You got San Gabriel, Sierra Madre, Santa Susana, and Oak Ridge, all capable of causing major quakes. And the closer you are to the fault lines, the higher chance it is to get hit by a quake. So it's actually very possible for an earthquake to hit Magic Mountain. And in fact, it already happened. Twice. February 9th, 1971. Literally just a few months away of Magic Mountain making its first debut. The park was having its normal construction to prepare for the grand opening, and during the construction, a 6.5 earthquake shook the ground. Structures swayed back and forth. Construction was still not 100% done, and obviously there was some damage, but not really a lot. Mind you, the park wasn't ready yet. There were still lots of towers in development, but somehow, despite the major quake, there was no significant damage, and the Sky Tower we all know and love, it was still not done yet, but was able to withstand it with no problems. Proof that these rides are truly built for quakes, and luckily there was no delays for the official opening. Now while some rides can avoid destruction, the same thing cannot be said for this event in January 17th, 1994.
And then it just started rolling and got stronger and stronger.
At 4:30 a.m. Pacific time on a Monday morning, a 6.7 earthquake shook the town of North Ridge, truly one of the most impactful earthquakes in California history, causing lots of damage throughout Southern California. For Magic Mountain, it closed the park for 3 weeks due to infrastructure concerns and water issues. But the worst part, the quake destroyed a roller coaster in the park. Before we got the wooden coaster we all know and love known as Apocalypse, there used to be another wooden coaster that appeared a few years before. Known as Cyclone, it opened in 1991. Like the name suggests, it was modeled after the real Cyclone in New York. But just 3 years later in 1994, when this quake hit the park, it truly shook up this coaster and caused lots of damage. It didn't fall apart or anything, but it did misalign some pieces, and the park did repair it. The problem is, it made the coaster way more rough, and by 2006 it was the worst ride in the park considering how unbearable it was to ride. Soon it was dismantled in 2007, and then we got Apocalypse, opening as Terminator Salvation at the time, which was obviously a better addition, but it's crazy to think that an earthquake caused the demise of this coaster. And it could happen again. So, while I can't give you a percentage calculation on the chances, these examples further prove that it's not a matter of if, but a matter of when. And speaking of when, what if you're caught in this worst case scenario situation on an operational day at the park? Fun fact, earthquakes on an operational day at Magic Mountain has happened before. One public example goes to YouTuber The Coaster Spot. To see the full video, I have it linked below. But essentially, while it wasn't a big one, they experienced an earthquake at the park. And long story short, here's what happens if an earthquake hits during an operational day. Shortly after the first tremor, every attraction closes down, and I mean every attraction. This is because, obviously, it isn't safe, but depending on the severity of the quake, it determines the level of examination. Remember how I told you Magic Mountain lost a wooden coaster because of an earthquake? This is why. Shortly after, the park sends personnel to manually investigate every ride and every piece to ensure everything is structurally sound and safe to operate. If there are any cracks or damage spotted, the attraction will be down for repairs. And I mean, obviously, who wants a final destination situation? In the 1994 earthquake we mentioned earlier, major damage occurred over by Ninja and Jetstream as a dirt slide blocked the pathway to them. The area had to be closed for a bit, cleaned up, fixed, and now it's back to normal. So obviously, the park already has a plan for this. Now for those currently watching completely afraid of attractions and this situation makes it worse, no matter how scary it all sounds, the point of the video isn't to instill fear, but rather showcase the hidden works behind the scenes to prepare for disasters like this. I promise you, all the rides at Magic Mountain are 100% safe. They are literally tested and designed to withstand earthquakes. If they couldn't, they wouldn't be built. Another example, Lex Luthor. For those of you that have ridden it before, you may have noticed that as you went higher up, the tower started to sway a lot. Now I know someone's gonna say, oh man, this is not safe. But actually that sway is the safety feature. It absorbs the movement and shakiness of earthquakes. And because of that, it won't tip over or collapse. JB, this is all good and all, but what if I'm at the park and it happens? The quake of all quakes. In this scenario, we're going with the most extreme quake we've seen so far at Magic Mountain, which was the 1994 Northridge quake. On that day, a 6.7 shook the earth for almost 20 seconds. 60 people in the towns were unalived. 20 to 40 billion was made in damages, and it was one of the most costliest quakes in American history. So, let's say Earth decides to go for a round 2, and you're at the park. What do? If you're riding a ride and the ground starts to shake, I hate to say it, but you're kind of stuck there. But trust me, you want to be. Most of the roller coasters there have earthquake sensors and will do a safety stop in the middle of the ride if it senses any unusual movement. For example, on Viper, depending on when the earthquake hits, it may stop on the lift hill or the brake run. Either way, it'll come to a complete stop. All you need to do is just stay seated and ride it out. It's not ideal, but what can you do when it just hits randomly? Plus, it's only for a few seconds, and as soon as it's over, they'll definitely come and rescue you right away. So, just stay put. Now, if it happens and you're lucky enough to not be on a ride on the first place, maybe on a main pathway or somewhere around the park, you're in the best possible place. All you need to do now is stay in an open area away from buildings, windows, lampposts, or trees and drops to ground. The more open space, the better, as all you need to do is duck and hold on. Standard earthquake safety, I know, but it's good to be reminded. Some ideal areas would be the parking lot, the park entrance, the Scream Punk section, DC Universe, Samurai Summit, and even X2 Plaza. Anywhere open. Also, do not try to run anywhere because the ground will shake so much it's hard to do so. Essentially, stay put, hold on, and be in the safest place possible. Lastly, if you happen to be in an enclosed area like a bathroom, store, or restaurant, hide under a table or go against the interior wall. Basically, just stay away from dangerous falling debris and you'll be okay. Earthquakes don't typically last forever, and in just 10 to 20 seconds, it may be all over. Once it passes, check for injuries, check the people around you, and quickly but calmly evacuate the park. Because wherever there's an earthquake, there is an aftershock. And for those unfamiliar, it's basically like a mini quake that happens right after the major one, and it can still be very dangerous. And of course, listen to safety personnel. They know how to handle this. They were literally trained for it. I know it's scary, but calm down, don't do anything drastic. That's the worst mindset you can have. Earthquakes really are unpredictable, and a lot of the safe decisions you have to make come from quick thinking. However, if you keep those plans in the back of your mind, you'll never be caught off guard, and you'll be set. So the quake passed, and it was one of the worst Magic Mountain has ever seen. What happens next? Assuming it was a 6.7 like the previous earthquake we saw, we could see tons of major damage all over the park, and for some rides specifically, it may not look good. For example, Apocalypse, considering a previous earthquake took out a Woody. Viper, because of its age. X2, same thing and also because it's rare. And truly any other older attraction. If the whole park were to be destroyed, that'd be $4 billion down the drain. Now hopefully that never happens, but if it did, it can go two ways. The park can rebuild it. After all, Magic Mountain's a personal favorite for Six Flags, as they always get new attractions. If the damage isn't that bad, they'll definitely rebuild. But in this day and age of Six Flags selling off parks, well, in that case, it doesn't look too good for Magic Mountain. We can only ever speculate, and hopefully it stays that way. In summary, here's what we know if an earthquake did hit Magic Mountain. The chances for Magic Mountain being struck is not impossible. In fact, it's very likely to happen again. But the park does take precautions to be ready, and you as a guest should always have a safety plan in mind, as you never know when the worst case scenario may strike. Magic Mountain is clearly very prepared. The park will do what is necessary to ensure safety of all guests, whether it's closing and examining rides, or closing the entire park due to damage. Not to mention, every ride and building in the park is designed to withstand an earthquake. So yeah, they're prepared. If it does happen, it'll be costly. Even if it's a few rides broken apart, it'll cost a lot of money to repair. But in the absolute worst case, which means complete destruction, that's billions of dollars in damage. Billions with a capital B, and we'll never know for sure if they'll save the park or scrap it, which I know is neither because it'll never happen. Anyways, this is definitely a different video from the regular, but I'm really liking this natural disaster series. And if you're still watching at this point, I'm sure you do too. So if you have any suggestions for future videos or any comments in general, comment down below. And if you're new here, welcome to the channel. On JB Thrills, we cover all sorts of theme parks and thrill rides no matter where they're located. And with a new goal of hitting 50k subscribers at the end of the year, you can help me out by hitting that little red button right there. Regardless, thank you for watching, and this is JB Thrills signing out.